You have to do this smile and hold my stomach. Stuck in my chin. Okay, I'm gonna hand these to you. And so I won't know the order. There are 11 in each of them and 12 in one. So I'm gonna put this out of the way. I'm so glad you have this pretty little patio.
Yeah, this is great. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where to park. You guys parked over there right where the
That's one reason we're moving. This place is just too.
Good place to get started.
Yeah.
too hard to get in.
Yeah.
When we're done here, we want to go in and see.
Area, if we did have the
The cool thing, the amazing thing to me, and you guys might have known it, but I didn't, is that you can print beautiful pictures on vinyl. And then I don't have to be so darn careful. I couldn't have brought 35 pictures in a frame.
Who does this? Did you go to Staples? See, we don't have Staples here.
I don't think it's, you could also, I also did it, I also went online and did it at something online. It looked perfect.
Shutterfly, did they do it?
Shutterfly.
Maybe.
So, should I lay it down on here or hold it one up at a time? We're starting with some
Do
dots.
we need another table?
We can lay it on the ground and I'll pick them up with you.
I see, why did my phone have to be almost dead?
Well, we'll share.
Okay.
Are you going around and putting all these around?
I'm selling them.
Oh, you're selling? Okay.
I accept.
Have one.
Okay.
Please.
They're sisters. Look at those clothes.
Aren't those beautiful? I love it, the costumes and dresses, yes.
The one in the middle is almost like an Indian pattern.
Yeah.
And this girl, because I see a lot of pictures of her, she's got crossed eyes and she wears glasses. So, you know, they were so backward that they wouldn't do things like that. I'm going to make this as hard to put back in, but out there. This little girl is, by the time I do this next week, I'll know all their names off the top of my head. She lived with her grandma.
How cute.
And their stories all kind of confused as who's who and who lives with who, but you know, families had hard times. And this is a wedding picture. She has white socks and white shoes on. And I think she may have white, oh no, the other one has white gloves. Is that just gorgeous?
It is gorgeous.
Just a beautiful
And
picture.
how nice.
So, yeah. So that I don't have to be careful. I mean, how horrible this would have been with a framed picture.
Yeah.
So, the backgrounds are obvious. We still have all the backgrounds. We have the chairs. So when we took pictures that day in October, we used some of the same stuff. How cute. And this is a typical picture that lots of people did as babies. So when I looked at the journal to see the name of the person and then the date, then I would do the family tree to find out who was a little girl at that age, at that time. Okay, today on the plane ride, I started writing a short story. I take my family stories and make children's books out of them, just self-published and given to friends. So I started one about Exodusters children. It's going to be, I think it's going to be called Ellen and Petey, Exoduster Pioneer Children, for the E and the T.
Oh, how cute.
And I'm giving them his last name. He's one of the very few of the 400. There were only about 4 that were individual guys without a family. Which I would have thought there was lots of them all we hear in the news, you know, men all out there prowling around by themselves. But his name was Joe Davis. He never lived in St. John during a census. So he lived there in the middle of between two censuses. So he never found anything. But Joe Davis bought this picture.
Huh.
So I'm
Nice
naming
looking.
the plantation. Yeah. I'm naming the plantation these kids that I'm writing about on the Davis plantation. And Petey's middle name is Joe.
Hello.
Hi. Want to see your pictures?
I know who you, well, my son knows you. I mean, what's your name? Anthony. I'm Slim's mom.
Oh, hey.
I've met you before.
Yeah, okay.
Did you bring us lemonade?
Well, if you want something, you're welcome to.
This one's slow. We want to stay and see the pictures. These are some And look how, I mean, the photographer just did some great pictures.
Yeah.
This guy is from the Martin family that the cemetery
Do
is
you know the
documenting.
dates of any
These
of
are
them?
Exodusters to Western Kansas.
These people and some of their relatives
St.
all
John
settled
is
in the
about
same town.
100 miles west of here. It's on 281 between Pratt and Great Bend.
So look at these things on his wrists. Those are some boots.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so he's from the Martin family, and he's one of the younger ones, and he's the shortest brother, and I think that's why he's acting.
There's
out.
Martins. There's Martins in Pratt County too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because they
Are
had
there still Martins there?
Yeah. I mean, they're not Martins anymore. They
But they're,
yeah.
They, yeah.
Yeah.
Student, but this Stafford County Historical Society.
Yeah.
Is that where you're from? Or
I grew up we grew up in St. John, and I
And
just
this is
really
My
discovered these
grandfather,
pictures.
my grandfather was from St. John.
okay.
So
And I'm going to have a picture.
I
of
grew
my
up in the county next to
great-grandfather in a minute.
St. John, so we're a lot of these people I sort of know.
Because who else would they marry? They didn't marry our family. They married the family.
they probably weren't allowed to.
They probably
And
did.
she's related to
Oscar
the
Michelle.
show.
I don't know if
Which was a
Dexter ever
filmmaker.
told you about that.
No, I haven't. Me and him haven't sat down in a long
The
time.
most
so.
famous
He's
black
from
filmmaker in the
Great
world.
Bend.
40 full-length movies in the 30s. Remember that name and look it up.
Yeah, first black filmmaker.
He wrote the stories, he wrote, filmed it, and he acted in it.
And he's buried. Listen, buried. He's buried in Great Bend too. Yeah.
He didn't
And
really
so-
live there much.
No.
His parents did, but he's
Somebody
buried there.
owns the grave.
So how are you related? I mean,
It's a cousin. I'm like the
I could show you the family tree.
fourth.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna take off. This is really interesting. I'm glad you all.
You don't have, do you have anything about the Jubilee that's going to be in St. John?
Not really close on me this second, but in St. John,
on the phone.
coming up next Saturday is a big day, and everybody will be in town, and I'm gonna
So are you
display
going
these.
to have all those displayed?
And I'm gonna leave these in St. John. They'll be around, and if you know how to get a hold of
Let me
her,
give you one of my cards.
Yeah.
You contact me and I'll send it
because
to you.
I made these for people to find. The museum wants families and people interested to see them. We didn't do them to keep them silent.
Right.
So this is obviously her high school graduation picture. If you notice her flower, there's two things about her flower that we don't do. We would have trimmed it and made it a little short boutonniere-like thing.
Right.
But this way she could put it back in water. And
Oh, in the vase.
and there's a
Yeah.
rose, if you can see it very
Yeah,
carefully.
yeah.
My mother always told us that you wear a live flower upside down if your mother is passed away, and right side up if she's alive.
I've never heard that. I just knew
So
that.
I haven't looked up.
Right if your mother had passed or ran if she was living.
Oh.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. I want all of you to put your hands up over your head because your shoulders need that stretch.
Oh.
Look at her.
Yeah.
Her last name is Pennington.
Pennington.
She didn't live in St. John. They are obviously came. They took 3 pictures, her and her sister. And
That's interesting.
yeah,
Because I've got an aunt, Mary Ann Pennington, but she was married to a Pennington.
I know, and we
But
can't.
he was, I think, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Then they moved to Colorado.
So she lived with her, without parents, with her sister and younger brother, and raised. She's on the census as the head of the household. But I'm not for sure which is which. But this is a lovely picture, and that the photographer took it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That he didn't make her sit like a good little girl.
Right. That she
I
did.
love it. I mean, she looks confident.
Yeah. She's smiling. Because, like I said, a lot of them, they're
Yeah.
looking
Yeah,
serious.
yeah. But see, like this one, it's a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
But
And it's a wedding picture
Yeah,
because
yeah.
she's got white gloves on.
Don't you just love their dresses?
Yes.
Oh, just beautiful.
I would have had a
And
sack
it's
on.
weird how the men would sit and the women would stand.
Yes,
Oh,
even
I love
if
this
they
one.
took 3 pictures,
probably
they
not
would be
probably
switched.
to see the dresses.
Yeah.
Don't you
Yeah,
think?
maybe
Probably,
so.
Yeah.
And if they weren't the same size. Now these boys are smiling and
Yeah.
they went duck
Look
hunting.
what we got.
And I'm not even for sure. Sometimes we could tell that W. Gray took the picture and didn't charge them because there's no name, and then we just figure out who they are because they look just like somebody. But I think he didn't have their names in here because I know who they are. So they may have just said, hey, and he's.
They almost look,
This
kinda
one on the
more
left
recent.
looks like a Fleming.
Huh.
Pratt Fleming.
I mean, the way they're smiling.
Oh, yeah.
It's more recent.
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Somehow
so
not
it's
smiling.
serious.
So Grandma raising two little girls, they were smiles. They took about 5 pictures that day, and those girls are sick of that.
Oh, yeah.
Sick of those umbrellas. And sick of sitting there. They're about ready to bust out of those chairs.
Aren't they cute? Cute, cute, cute.
Okay.
You know, you could make a book out of these. You know, a coffee table book.
And this is only 33. There's
You have
111.
111.
And
Are you gonna
there's
think about
20
doing that?
and there's 27,000 other pictures to look for that will have some Exodusters in them.
I need to get out there. When you're out there, we'll go over to Michael's museum.
I'm either at my house in the backyard drinking, at the cemetery drinking.
Are you gonna try to put those back in the
Yeah.
canister?
Yeah.
But see, I'm not going
Or
out
at-
Memorial Day.
Or at Michael's at the museum. Yeah, I'll put them
And you're
back in.
leaving when to go back?
The 3rd is my flight out.
June 3rd.
Yeah.
I should be helping you.
The most famous picture,
Yeah.
the most reproduced.
The twins.
This is the Scott twins. Elsie and Lena were both school teachers.
Just alike, except one.
Lena taught in Nicodemus at
She has
least 1 year.
degrees galore.
No, that's Elsie.
Elsie had degrees. Yes.
But-
Yeah.
And then the rest, Lena's, who had the party that I replicated, and
Lena.
she
One of my aunts was named Lena Robinson.
yeah.
My grandfather's sister.
And she, on the census in the 30s or 40s, and then in her obituary it said she lived in Hollywood, and she was the personal servant of a movie star. That's what it said in her obituary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, see, I've got had another cousin that worked for some celebrity too.
I want to hear what you said. Say it again.
I was trying.
You
Another
pull this
relative
chair out of the
that
picture.
that worked for a celebrity in Hollywood.
Oh, think of that story and tell it. I picked this one because he was cute.
He is good.
Wendell Tyler was his name.
Uh-huh.
Tyler.
And he
Yes,
and he
because
lived in.
Yes, Harrison Tyler. Yes, I knew her.
We all knew Harrison.
And he
Yes.
worked, I can't think of the name of the celebrity that. he
Okay,
worked
when
for.
you do, just text it to me. Wendell Tyler worked for, and then just say who it was. So he's just cute. I
Handsome.
I don't even think we have his name, but it also shows what dress-up clothes look like. This is unusual to get your picture taken in a black dress. It may have been a funeral.
A funeral or something, maybe.
We don't know very much about her. She wasn't there very long. This is one of the pictures that Shelby
Yeah. That
imitated.
may be an 8th grade graduation because I have some of my relatives that they.
Yeah. Her diploma.
It's a diploma. Like
that-
it could be 8th grade graduation
Sassy.
because they did those.
Yeah.
Wish I had one of those.
This one's name was wrong, or they misread his journal, so I couldn't find anything about her. And then I slightly changed the letters and found she was the Baptist minister's wife.
Oh.
And she kind of looks like a Baptist
Yeah.
minister's wife to me, not being a Baptist.
What was her name?
Not on the top of it was a name that we didn't know very much, and they
Oh.
didn't have much of a family. I can find out though. I intend to get busy when I get home and to St. John and
And
make
you
a
still
little.
work a full-time
No,
job?
no, I don't. No, I retired.
Oh, did you? Okay.
I want to make a little handout so that when people walk around, they see a little. These are sisters. These are Menace sisters.
Okay.
Menace. Okay.
So then you,
So I'm related to the
yeah. So there's Tyler's, Bowens, every other big name.
Menaces, Robinsons.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
the Tyler girls married other people, so they're second generation St. John people.
See, this is wonderful for us because, you know, unfortunately, this wasn't taught in schools, as you know. And we didn't realize that we had that many.
That's why I said, "Oh shit!" when I saw the first picture.
Well, look at this one.
And he's a cute guy, and so I thought he needed to be
So this is
blown up.
wonderful for us, too, to learn about these
But
families.
he
I
wins.
knew about them, but, you know.
Those eyes sparkle.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, do you remember his name?
No. But we can get
Because
you his phone
he
number.
looks like somebody I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I noticed that. Some of them look like somebody
Okay,
that you know.
this one I'm making a story of because we don't know much.
Interesting. It's
A white guy.
interesting. Yeah, white guy. And
So he is a white guy because his name.
You don't know him?
Not personally, but we know his name. He paid for the picture, but we don't know who they are. And why they all want a
Completely
picture?
white.
No, but he seems to be from the information. I know that
Maybe
he
some
could just
Indian or something.
So how do you know he's white?
That's
because in the census in those years they had to write black, white, mulatto, or and so he could have lied.
Because I got relatives that look like that.
Oh,
And they,
I know.
What was his name?
I don't know right now.
It's okay.
By Saturday I'll know.
Yeah.
These people, he took 2 pictures of them. One with their coats on, it was like New Year's, and one without. And he must have pulled them in off the street, which he did a lot. He used to go out on the street and take pictures of people riding by on their ponies and stuff. And because he didn't charge them, so there's no name. But it was just a lovely picture. And some of these people, like Renee, they know their family so well, they look at them carefully and they can find names. I'm swimming in information, and you guys that are relatives will probably start to recognize faces, just like you growing.
I wonder if
now.
those were 8th grade, because they wore those white dresses.
Yeah, I don't know.
Graduation.
We can look it up.
Yeah.
And my favorite. This is the
yes.
first one I made.
I think you must have posted that. Or
Yeah.
something.
Clever hair. How
I know,
cute.
So her
Oh,
family,
gosh.
her last name is Goss, and her daddy's
Goss.
buried in St. John with the cemetery stone. He was a Civil War soldier, so the U.S. government sent a stone. Now his wife and other people in his family don't have stones. They were probably in wooden crosses, and they're gone.
She looks so young.
So I'm going to, and so she married a Bowen.
With the button shoes.
So look at her. These are her first 2 children are
It's
girls.
unusual, the girl that have some overalls on.
Yeah,
Because they used to dress them. put them in
Yes.
but that's the cool thing. I'm going to give lots of credit to the photographer that he would let people do things that weren't all just stayed.
But she looks like she's their big sister rather than their
Yeah.
mom. She looks.
And look how straight her hair is.
How beautiful.
Beautiful.
So her
Yeah.
family has lots of, like her grandparents, everybody's last name is God. So they came off the same plantation, I would guess. So we may not know really who mom and dad is exactly, but we know who her daddy is. He was in the Civil War, so we have that stuff. And she married into the very established family, that Eugene's family,
Okay.
Bowens, and then everything got calm, and we have a trail of information.
Which is great. Did you find that on 60 Minutes that
Yes.
when the Millers that
Yes.
left Virginia?
So, one of the most interesting things that I learned about, besides that, was the public, what is that, Channel 9, public television.
PBS.
PBS. At the same time we were in St. John in October, there were some researchers and some divers going into not the Mississippi, some other river, where the Cotilda landed. It was the last slave ship.
Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama. So the reason it's the last slave ship, it'd been 75 years or 100 years since they'd outlawed intercontinental transportation of slaves. And some jackass guy in Alabama, full of himself and a shipper, bet all his buddies that he could get a ship from here, go there, get a slave ship full of people and bring him back and not get caught. And he made a bet with them. So he did it, and he didn't use a great big old slow ship. He used some kind of sailing ship that was really fast and little, which means the people were really cramped. So he got it, they got back. When they pulled up in the river a ways, they got so that it's too shallow, so they make all
what
the
river was this?
I can look it up, it's in Alabama.
Alabama.
It's whatever goes to the ocean off of Alabama, there's
Okay.
probably lots. But if you look up Cotilda, it's easy to find. So as they made him walk into the cane fields to hide, and then he went back to the ship and burned the ship down, so there'd be no evidence and he wouldn't get in trouble.
And how many of them were there?
I don't remember the number, but the TV show that you can watch on PBS is like you guys, the descendants living now, standing on a ship as the divers go down and show them, bring up things from the ship.
This is how you spell it.
Okay.
It's called Catilda the Last Slave Ship, and PBS did a show on it. So they were doing it in October the same time, and just then they measured, the divers measured the guy that tried to burn the ship down forgot. Some of the ship is underwater. It didn't burn. And that sunk and is still there, and the ocean and the sediment has preserved it, and they don't want to pull it up, and so they're protecting it now.
The water's cold enough to keep it.
So they measured it, and they went out on a high school football field there in that town and laid it out just the same. It's not even square. It's a weird shape. And the 6 people that were the descendants stood in the thing and thought, and counted 100 or whatever the number is, laid down naked, pooping on each other, not eating, peeing, and just horrifying. And just to be in the size was really an interesting concept. Yeah. And do one more big horrible thing in your life. And he didn't get arrested, but I think the guy, the ship captain that he hired, got in trouble because he bragged about it. But then again, the guy with money didn't get in trouble. Can you take some more? I got 11 more.
These are wonderful.
So can you see how fun this will be hanging
Where's
up?
my son was here? You know the one that you talked to?
Yes.
Is he the one that?
So when did you say this was going to be?
Oh, it's Saturday. What is the date of Saturday? Not this Saturday.
Oh,
but
the
next-
Jubilee?
Yeah,
27?
28.
The Jubilee, okay. And it's going to be at the
28.
St. John Historic.
No. In St. John, the Jubilee happens all over town, and there'll be a carnival and people doing all kinds of things, and I'll be in the park showing some other things. But I'm going to hang these in the W.R. Gray photo studio building where the pictures were taken.
Okay.
And they're going to be hanging, and people are going to go through and see, and hopefully I'll have a little book telling them what I know about it.
And what you know the hours? So. Oh, okay.
Call me, I'll open
Okay.
it whenever.
I'm gonna go see it, but I just.
Yeah,
It's right across. Here's the lumberyard, and across the street's the mural, and then to the south of it.
It's St. John. I'll
St.
find
John,
it.
yeah. Okay, are you ready for another story I made up?
Yeah.
You made up?
Well, I have to make up because we
Look
don't
at those
know.
heels.
Uh-huh. There you got the first one. Look at those heels.
Yep, yep.
Okay, now you hold this.
Is it a girl?
Ah.
Is it a girl? Lady dressed like a boy?
Yes.
It's her.
Oh.
Wow.
Little gender fluid.
Yeah.
She wasn't hiding it, was she?
Nope.
And the photographer didn't make her. And her grandma, who was there in the
I think
30s,
she would have wore some different shoes.
if she was hiding it.
If she wanted to hide it, yeah, she would.
Yeah.
So in the other picture, she's in that outfit, standing right beside her grandmother, big old tall woman with her.
Wow.
So if you just wanted to be in your garden clothes and wear jeans, that's one thing. That's not what this is.
Yeah.
She's in dress-up clothes.
Yeah, yeah.
So, do you have her name?
I know who her grandmother is. She's the same grandmother as the little sad looking picture. I don't think she's this woman. I'll have to check. See how haste makes waste? This is how I do everything. So photos wouldn't work for me.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
the
it's
people
good
that I
it's on
told-
that vinyl, so it wouldn't, because paper would have been blowing all over the place.
I told these are the Walkers. This is one of his daughters, so this is second generation, and married a Navy guy, and he may be a doctor or a minister, I can't remember right now. But this is a different photographer, but their pictures, I ordered some of their pictures from KU so I could get some. And they have a ton of stuff, which I have to figure out how to get copies of.
Who's the photographer?
I don't know. This is 4 of their, they have 11 children. This is 4 of their sons.
Wow.
Oh yeah, this is the big White House you showed us at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, this is a different White House. Oh no.
The Walker's house. Because you said you had
Yeah,
11.
it is.
There was 11 bedrooms in this
Yeah,
house.
Yeah, exactly.
Is this house still standing?
No. I've stood at the empty lot.
Wow.
And where was it located?
Oh, she's getting ready to show the house.
Up by Hudson.
Okay.
This is the
That
house.
one, that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking I hadn't shown you because it was still here, but it was a littler picture.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So for a long time, Michael and people thought this is an airplane,
Look at the wrap
but it's
around brand.
it's a just a
Watch.
blotch on the. And this is their daddy.
Is he buried in Great Bend, you said? Is he the one that was?
I'm not for sure we know whether. I don't know.
Don't know.
I packed. I got on
I know,
an
a
airplane.
lot.
Yeah.
You've been flying up in the air.
And this is her great great grandparents.
Yep, that's my grandparent,
Oh,
great
how
grandparents.
Oh, okay.
How nice.
So I
Zed
got this
Wright
picture from her.
Sr. and Catherine's Wright.
So Catherine is his second wife, and she was a school teacher. And I think because of we owe her a lot of credit, because that obituary of his told me so much stuff. So either he was it. My dad would always tell great stories that my mother would write him down and take him to the paper.
That's so nice. I don't have those stories. What's his name?
Zed.
Zed.
Z-E-D. Khalid.
See, when I saw this other guy, I was like, his eyes remind me of my great grandfather for some reason, the way they were.
His eyes look like somebody that I'm familiar with.
And this was the house he and his wife eventually built in Pratt.
Oh,
And that's
And
still standing.
It's still standing.
Is it on Main?
That's on Illinois.
It's out in the
Illinois.
out on the west side.
Fourth
of town.
and Illinois,
East
yeah.
side. East side.
Wow.
The west.
West going towards Green.
Growing up, that house was still in our family. It's not in our family, but I used to go there.
Oh, neat.
So
Yeah.
do you know the people?
Nope.
I'm gonna go see if I can meet them and talk to them and
Bad
give
you
them my
don't
name
still
and say,
have it in your family.
you ever want?
It's in town though.
Yeah.
It's on.
So I'm gonna. I know people
on the
that
corner.
would buy it to make an Exodusters Pioneer museum.
Museum. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. And wouldn't all of us kind of contribute?
Well, what about your trail of?
Okay, there is a thing at the Historical Museum here in town, which I thought, oh, we'll have time to go there, but we don't. The Historical Museum, Kansas African American Historical Museum here in town. So I contacted them after I joined so that I could get their information. Well, one
I
of the
was
things,
just down there a couple weeks ago.
one of the things on their pages, there's this trail of Kansas African American Exoduster Trail, and it's got 8 stops on it, and we're applying to be the 9th. And from Great Bend to St. John, and we have Michael fulfills all the needs. It has to have a place that has office hours, somebody can go in, and ask questions and
Did you know he's helping the Hall Museum too?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot. I've been helping him say what he wants to say.
Right. There you go.
So when people of this second generation or first generation were in the military, they have stones in St. John. So that's how I can look at a name that I wouldn't know if it's the same one because they're not very extraordinary, like some people's families. But when it says colored unit on their grave, I know who they are. And then I look at find the clippings in the paper and say his wife died and was buried beside him at Fairview Park. So the next thing I'm going to do is they're all busy right now looking at schools that had Indian children in them. They're looking for their graves. But I'm going to I've talked to a group that does that. And I'm going to have them do the whole cemetery, mostly so that I can
In
prove.
St. John?
Yeah, mostly that I can prove that his wife is beside him. We can't tell who it is, but we can tell if there's a grave
Are
there.
they taking their machine? I mean their whatever detector to the graves and trying to find it that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a lawnmower
Yeah.
with a computer
Right,
on it,
I've
and it's
seen it.
radio
Yeah.
waves.
I can tell whether there's.
It's
Yeah.
disturbed. So when you look at the computer thing over a grave that's known, and it makes a signal, the radio or radio wave. And then you go over here where it's between any 2 graves, and it's solid to the china. And then you get over here, and it looks just like that. Even though there's no stone, we know that's a grave.
Right there.
So Mitch Menace argued with me to not do it because he said, you would know who it is anyway. I said, I know who it is. I can figure out who it is. I just want proof that and right now, my
I have a question for you about the
Figure
cemetery.
it out.
I put medallions on them anyway because it's logical. And this is the Bowen brothers. So Eugene's
Nice looking.
great grandfather and his brothers.
The Bowen brothers.
Okay. The one on the left end looks familiar. I mean, you know, I can see.
This is just wonderful to
Resemblance
see in the
of
sides.
the- yeah.
Are you guys excited as I am? I was just delirious.
These are
I should have called Eugene to come over here. You know, he lives here in Wichita.
So that's the Walker.
This is the Bowens.
Bowens. Oh.
Will you hold this? This is me.
Beautiful.
It's so wonderful to have these pictures. I know.
Are you calling me?
I'm gonna tell her that she needs to fix you guys some genealogy papers. And send it to me.
Accidental
I
call.
want to see them put together a coffee table.
Coffee
book.
table book. Oh yeah, we can do that easy. I
How about sending them some genealogy papers? Can you do that?
I can send them the charts. I've
I
done
mean,
the
that's what
family
I mean.
trees. Yeah, oh yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
I can just send it to you. That's why I made it for you. Okay, so this is Bowens, and they have 7 brothers and 5 of them are in this picture. The girl that has glasses on is in this picture, and the mom and daddy.
Because she's the one that's cross-eyed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you hold up this last one. I don't know their names right now off the top of my head, but this is what
Smells
broke.
good, like
I know.
Yeah, it does.
It must be coming from the German
Hi, this is
restaurant.
Alice. Not trying to call me.
Oh.
So, this is what, by the time I was studying this picture, I said, everything I've ever learned about black families not, you know, having a daddy and stuff, this would broke
Yeah.
that. There'd be nobody talking to me about that ever again. Most of these people had grandmother with them,
Yeah.
because grandmothers live longer than daddies, and
Well,
daddies
families
were
did
with
that.
them. But we were told black families didn't. And so now, you know, we know we did that to them by putting them in jail.
Mm.
Is that amazing?
It is.
Now,
So,
who
I
is
don't-
this?
I don't know.
I'm
Oh.
trying
Off
to
the top
figure
of
out
my head.
who the oldest are.
Yeah, it's hard to tell who here.
Right.
So these may be sisters or.
Well, it could be a mother and daughter. You know
It
what?
could be,
Because I
yeah.
had more gray hair than my mom.
Oh yeah. Well, and look at the Gracies. Everybody thought the youngest girl was, and so whenever I introduced them, I would say, "Stand in order."
This is taken in St. John. Okay.
Wow.
But you don't know who they are.
I don't, on the top of my head. It's probably in my books.
Oh, okay.
You know what
It
you
isn't
could
the-
do? You can get, I have magic markers, they're called identity pins
Yeah.
that you can write on, they don't smear.
I'm gonna have a little book so that, like a,
Something, yeah.
and I could stick things
Yeah,
on the
look,
back.
I see.
There's a,
I know what you're saying on the back.
yeah, yeah. There are
Right.
beautiful ways, and I can't write beautiful, so I'll type it up and print it.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know
okay.
what?
Well, you
I
could do
can't.
that.
I can't write anymore. Ever since I've been typing so much,
Yeah.
my handwriting.
My
is-
mother's handwriting was
Well,
beautiful.
they're doing away with cursive writing, and
I know.
that's a shame.
I know. But
We got bigger things to
Was
worry
Is that
about.
it?
No, there's only 100 others. I picked the cutest.